Hello, everyone. Hi, this is James from Prague, and welcome to SoulCARE. And gosh, we're at almost the end of May. It's gone by quickly. My friend Peter's here. You see him over there. There you go. So I just wanted everyone to know today's a little different. A friend of mine is going to the hospital, so I have to go and help her out. So I'm going to be leaving, and Peter's going to be substituting for me today. Today, this whole period is about transformation, right? Transformation. It's been very transformative. I don't know about you, but a lot of people have had a lot of amazing things happen quickly and suddenly and unexpected. Yesterday, I bring my dog into the ER. She's fine, but it was a quick, sudden thing, and she ate too much stuff, some fertilizer. So I bring her in, but she's fine now. She's great. But there have been sudden transformations, sudden changes, and today's another one. So I have to help a friend out, so I'm not going to be able to be here, but Peter will be. And funny enough, well, thank you, Spirit. Peter is all about transformation and transforming your life. So it kind of worked out divinely. So he's going to talk to you for the time, and you can meet Peter Bradgrove, who really was the earth angel in my life that started working with me before I got into doing, I did the work, but he helped me write my first book. He pushed me to write my first book, encouraged me. And if it wasn't for his encouragement and really pushing me to do it, because he was able to see the possibilities for me, he saw the potential in me, which I didn't see myself. And he was able to transform my life. He said, "You're worth it. You need to write this book. It's right before you." And if I hadn't listened to him, I wouldn't be here. But he was nudging me, and he's a great life coach. He's a great teacher, great transformer. So I wanted him to come in and help you out. And he's fabulous. So I will be back this evening for, thank you, Cassie D. Thank you, Kathy. I will be back tonight for Both Sides Now and Beyond, where Kelly White and I will talk about the chakra system. Intense tonight. So please enjoy Peter, and Peter will help you in so many ways. God bless you. We'll see you later. Peter, you want to take over my seat, and I'll run out. Okay. Thank you.
All right. See you later, James.
Thank you, Peter.
Hello, everybody. It's a big set of shoes to step into, but I think transformation is very apropos today. I'm going through very major changes myself, and I'm looking at ending a 21-year relationship and divorce, and getting through it. So anything I speak of, I'm speaking of with a reality. And as you know, change, transformation is distressing in so many different ways. But there is always a gift in what I call the state of imperfection. There is always a gift that is there for us to look back and, it's like low-hanging fruit. It's there. But change is a very good thing. The smartest people I've met in my life, not necessarily the richest, but they are people who recognize change, they embrace it, and have come out at the other end whole and enlightened. So, I encourage anyone who is reluctant to make changes that intuitively they know need to be made to sum up the courage to make those changes. You can get through it. We can all get through it. There isn't anything that we're presented with in our lifetime for which we do not have the tools. We have to dig deep sometimes to find the appropriate tool, but we have it. And so change is a good thing. Painful, but it's good. So, I like to think of myself as an agent of transformation and change. And, please, by all means, go to my website and look at my website, and it'll give you some sense of what I do. And I take people on a journey going backwards first before we go forward, because it's really important if you're going to embark on this kind of a journey that the first step forward is on terra firma. So going backwards sometimes is the prudent thing to do, so that all old baggage that a lot of us carry around, we shed that, and that we take our first step forward lighter and enlightened, and with a sense of relief, because we have released old hurts and pains and grudges and things that tie us up in knots and become burdensome in every way. And those internal things affect everything we look at, everything we hear, and everything we say. So it's very good to unburden yourself. Start the journey with a clean slate. And I know that sounds easy, but it isn't. But gosh, in the 80 years I've lived, I've come to realize, painfully, that nothing worthwhile appears to be easy. I don't quite know where the sense of entitlement comes from, that we should, we're entitled to an easy ride in this lifetime. We're not. I don't know where it's written that we are entitled to. We're not. So we should expect trials, tribulations, bumps in the road, and major hurdles. But as I said, I think we have everything we need. Our spiritual guides are there to assist us, to help us. And all we have to do is ask. As a wonderful, wonderful person came into my life very, very briefly. And at a very critical time, she said, Peter, there are a lot of unemployed angels in heaven, or guides. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? She said, well, they won't interfere with us. They will help us when we ask. All we have to do is ask. Put the positive energy out there. Put the positive things into the heavenly atmosphere that we want accomplished. And make sure we have clear vision and peripheral vision, and the assistance and the help will come in very unexpected ways. It's really up to you to sensitize yourself to the signs that you're getting, and they will come. They will come. It's worked every single time for me. And this particular transformation I'm going through now, I'm trying really hard to practice what I preach, but I fought myself, because I could have been doing this 5 years ago. I could see it was necessary, and necessary to promote the growth of my partner. And it would never happen whilst we were together. And, to be altruistic is one thing, but to be soul-saving and life-saving, not only for another person, but yourself, is the reward. It will save. It will save every time. As painful as a separation is, you're saving yourself and your spouse. Because if you know intuitively the only way you're going to be free, the only way you're going to set them free is to separate, then do it, and do it in an atmosphere of love and care, without anger. Forgive yourself for mistakes you may have made. And by all means, very important ingredient here, forgive others. Forgive your spouse for mistakes they have made, and make the separation an amicable and loving one. You can love somebody and love them to death, but liking that person doesn't always follow. So remember that. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. And I hope that some of the words are resonating with some of you. And again, I would recommend getting in touch with your authentic self by making the changes that need to be made. I'm reading a wonderful book I would like to recommend to everybody. It's called The Gifts of Imperfection. And I think a lot of you will relate to what's in this book. And any of you, again, who are contemplating a change of any kind. And it's clearly, succinctly puts the whole process of change into a good perspective. And so, everyday folks like you and me can relate and can slowly but surely put a plan of action in place. But now, hello, Melissa. Hello, Peter. I like you, and I have a question for you. And my question is, why is it when you lose a spouse, you become bitter and jealous? Well, oh my gosh, I could do a full hour on that. I think you have to look at, why are you bitter and why are you jealous? What are you bitter about? Are you bitter at the loss, the fact that someone with whom you've spent years and enjoyed a loving relationship with left you? If you're bitter, then I have a sense that perhaps there's a little bit of a blame game going on here. That how could God do this to me? Jealous? Well, what are you jealous of? Jealousy can take many, many different forms. There are times I had a partner, 18 years. He passed away, and I'm jealous. Yeah, I'm jealous of the life that he's living now in the heavenly realms. And, I've sat in circle with James, and he's come around, and, I love my life, and I treasure each day, and I thank God for each day. But I can't wait to be reunited with all of those people with whom I've had relationships with, loving relationships. And I know the life that they're living. So I'm a little bit jealous of that. Yeah, absolutely. But the bitterness, let go of whatever's causing you to feel that way. There's no one to blame for his passing or her passing. It was their time. Let go. Life goes on. It does. And it's your choice, And the best way really to honor someone that has passed and someone that you've loved is to engage. Engage in a loving lifetime, spreading joy and hope and influencing people with your actions and the way you live. I mean, you can make somebody's day just by smiling. If you go into a coffee shop, please and thank you, which in many instances, those old line courtesies seem to have vanished. And I think it's really important to touch everybody you come into contact with in a day in a positive way. And at the end of the day, what's going to matter is not the words you spoke, but it's how did you make people feel with the contact they had with you. So it's a good thing to think about. Now, Marie, hi. As a light worker, do you always need to the understanding and forgiving one? Yes. Yes. That's a very quick, succinct answer. You need, if you're a light worker, Light, yes, you are bringing the light, you're spreading the light, and you must always, by example, influence others if you're working in that realm, in that field. Yes, have forgiveness in your heart. One of the exercises I ask some of my clients to go through when we step backwards and is to revisit some of the hurt and in many instances, sadly, the abuse that they suffered, were subjected to as children and have never really released it. I ask them to go back and then revisit, remember, journal it. And the last paragraph of the journal or the letter to the abuser is a paragraph with a heartfelt and soul-felt forgiveness, and then take it to a place of peace and tranquility and burn it and release it in where it belongs, the ether. And it's amazing how much lighter and calm people feel. A client of mine just last week did that, as I suggested, and he said he hadn't felt that calm, and it was with a sibling who had been nothing but abusive and cruel since childhood, even to this day. And he did that, and he said he hasn't felt this calm in 35 years. So it illustrates the value and the effectiveness of forgiving and releasing and letting go. The greatest beneficiary is you. Harboring old hurts and grudges just burdens you. It ties you up in knots. And, that proverbial chunk on your back just gets bigger and bigger. And as you get older, you begin to stoop from, emotionally and spiritually from the weight of harboring ill will. Doesn't do anyone any good. Let it all go. You can't change the past. It can, if you allow it to affect your present, and most certainly it will affect your future. Teresa, hello, Teresa. How do you forgive yourself? Well, I'll make it very simple and very easy, because this is what I've practiced. There's a sort of an emotional and psychological switch. On, off. Use the switch. Forgive yourself. You're human. We're all human. We are souls, spiritual beings having a physical and human experience. We're not perfect. If we were perfect, we wouldn't be here. The best analogy I can think of why we're here, I said, this is the pit stop of God's universe. We're here to rotate the tires, change the oil. That's what we're here for. So if we make mistakes, say, okay, I have real regret and sorrow if anyone was hurt in the process, and I hope they will forgive me. But first, I forgive myself, and I will learn something from whatever it was that you feel you need to forgive yourself from. That's the value. That's the value. And the name of this book, as you know, is The Gifts of Imperfection. It's a wonderful book, and I would recommend you read that. And I think you'll find comfort in the book, and it will explain a lot about human behavior. Kizzy, hi, Kizzy. How do I connect with my higher self? Well, calls for quiet, solitude first, and a mindset. And that's part of change and transformation. And just do the deep breathing exercises. Breathe in very slowly, 5 and close your eyes and put yourself in a place of beauty, a place that you think of as beautiful. Everything else disappears around you. And ask your higher spirits, your guides, to assist you in finding calmness and tranquility and peace. And make it a regular thing every single morning. I do it every single morning. I thank God first I woke up, and secondly, for life itself. And thirdly, ask for protection. Put the white light of protection around me, any and everything I do. And I'm constantly tuning in to my higher self. I mean, I happen to be I'm staying with James, and he has a place here that is incredible. He's created a sacred and safe place. And it's very hard not to connect with your higher powers and higher spirits. But first and foremost, it takes a mindset. But you have to release all the distractions that are going on around us. You know, television, radio, phones, cell phones constantly ringing. Clear all of that out. Create a space, a sacred space for yourself, and make it a habit. It's a good habit. Charmaine, I love that name. How do you know when to trust your thoughts about leaving your spouse? Oh my. Oh gosh. I'm just remembering my own process. It's taken me 5 years too long. I knew then 5 years ago. How do you know? A history of behavior that is not in tune with you spiritually or physically. I really hope there's no physical abuse or verbal abuse, which is just as bad, if not worse. You know, I call this here, well, we in the modern idiom, we call it the gut feeling. I call it nature's tuning fork. Listen to it, trust it. It will never, ever steer you in the wrong direction. And the thing that we are very good as a species, including myself, of doing is brushing away those feelings and saying, oh, I think things will change, he or she will change. And I think things will be okay. But all of that really is a cover up. It's a mask for fear. And I prevented myself from doing what I knew I should have done 5 years ago because of fear, many levels of fear. And again, I've learned something very, very valuable. Have the courage, have the confidence, set yourself free, become an authentic being and live life the way you were meant to live it and the way you want to live it. Don't give your power away to a spouse that is not supporting you emotionally, spiritually, physically, as hard as it is. You owe it to yourself to make the tough decisions. And there's no way to avoid making those decisions. If you want to, if you want to continue to grow, and if you want to continue to live life, I don't mean just coasting through and going through the motions. And the longer you leave it, the unhappier you're going to be. Because you didn't deal with it. And there's no way around it. You can't go under it, you can't go over it, you can't go around it. Either way, you have to go through it. If that answers your question, I hope it does. You just know. Be in touch with your core being. Yvonne, or Yvonne, like that name. What's the name of the book, please? The book is called The Gifts of Imperfection, and it's written by Brené Brown, Brene, capital Brown. And it's a guide, as they say, your guide to a wholehearted life. Who doesn't want that? And the byline here, let go of who you think you're supposed to be and embrace who you are. Simple statement, but oh my gosh, that requires so much in the way of courage to do. Change is never easy, just isn't. Mary Frances, hello. My daughter has had verbal abuse from father when young. How do I help her heal? I'm sorry for that, Mary. That's an awful thing, and it's imprinted. I suffered the same thing. As a child, I was subjected to every kind of abuse in the books. And it's a very, very hard thing to overcome, and it's a process. I work with a lot of people with these issues, and it's a matter of going back, revisiting, journaling, forgiving, and letting go, and then rebuilding. rebuilding a sense of self-worth and value and purpose. But the best way to heal is to let go and forgive. That's simplified. The process is more complicated than that. And it's a process. Can't be done overnight. It's what I do. I work with a lot of people with these issues, and a surprising number have suffered as children from all kinds of abuse. The verbal abuse is particularly awful, I think, because it's, I think it was Piaget, the famous child psychologist, said, by the time a child is 3 or 4, it's done. The circuitry is like a circuit board. It's imprinted already. And so it's incredibly damaging and it's heartbreaking. And I'm so sorry that she was subjected to that. But it can be changed. She can change it. Take ownership of her life. Take pride in who she is. But all of that is a building process. But if you go to, again, I ask you to go to my website, you'll see I have a lot of life experience, and I've worked with a tremendous number of people. Some I can't name, very well-known people who've had similar issues. It's, in a way, it's like renovating a house. You have to take the house down to the studs sometimes and rebuild it, reconfigure the space, and then rebuild. So I hope that answers your question. Nikki, is there a way for those who have passed to talk to us or let us know they are still with us? Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. I've been very fortunate to have incredible experiences, which now, without any shadow of doubt, I can tell you there is life after life. Yes, they've passed over into the spiritual realms. I think all you have to do is, again, find the quiet and sacred place and a safe place for yourself. And close your eyes, do a meditation, and just imagine everything around you is not there. It's just that person. And ask them to come to you and to let you know they're okay. The people that passed over can show you in many different ways they're there. I had an experience with my partner who passed away after 18 years. I had an experience. I was sitting in my study probably about a year after he passed, and a book flew off. It literally flew off the bookshelf. And it fell opened. And when I picked it up, it was a book about the afterlife and the heavenly realms. Explain that. I mean, I've had many, many experiences. Unfortunately, I've sat in development circles with James, and we've had some unbelievable experiences. People have come through. They will. Ask your higher powers to facilitate it. They come to you in dreams. They come to you even through electrical devices. But you have to be really sensitive. Give yourself the privilege, the pleasure, the necessity of a safe, sacred, quiet place in your home, outside, somewhere that you can allow them to communicate with you. It can come even through smells. A lot of different ways. That last question, Peggy, hi. My husband passed from a brain tumor in 2002. I'm sorry for your loss. Still gives my signs to this day. He answers my request for a sign as quick today as all those years ago. Sometimes I smell his cologne. Yes, that's wonderful, Peggy. And it's wonderful you have such faith, and you have such perception. And again, perception comes in many different ways. And as I was just saying, it comes through smell. The electrical devices, lights go on and off for no reason whatsoever. And I'll give you an example. I had an amazing experience through electrical devices. A very, very close friend passed a number of years ago. And he lived in South Africa, in Cape Town. And I'd been to see him a few months before he passed. He was like a brother to me, the brother I never had. And he was very ill. He had a brain tumor. And I knew his doctor. And about 3:15 in the morning, my radio came on by my bed. Just came on. I'd never set the alarm. I'd never need one. It just came on. And half an hour later, I received a call from my friend's doctor in Cape Town. And he said, I have some sad news for you. Your friend passed away half an hour ago. It was his way of letting me know he's okay. He came to visit me and say goodbye. So it's wonderful. I'm glad you are still open and still getting messages from your soulmate. Kathy, Mum just passed. I'm so sorry. That is a heavy loss. Doing estate work again, I detached to get through and allowed my grief to be hijacked. It's taken a deep toll physically, mentally, spiritually. My cup is empty and can't quench anyone's thirst. Any good ways to start becoming whole and healthy? Very good question, Kathy. I've been through this experience a number of times, and the detachment and the ability that you have to get through, and it is getting through everything you have to get through. When you lose somebody, you still have to function. Getting through the estate matters. If you're the executor, it's a lot of work. But at some point, when all of that busy work is done, what hits you is the loss. And that's when you really start the grieving. And you must allow yourself to grieve with all the stages of anger, making a deal, all of those things that are involved in grieving. There's no fixed time for doing it. You know, it makes me a little upset when I hear people say, oh gosh, it's been a year since your spouse or your brother or your sister passed. You should have been able to deal with it by now. There's no time framework written anywhere that says it takes 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, or a year or more to deal with the grief of losing somebody. Be gentle with yourself. Be patient with yourself. Don't allow others to intrude into that grieving process. Reach out and ask for help when you need it. But what you will experience is nothing abnormal, because it is after the estate work and the probate work and all of that crap you have to go through, that the grieving process really begins. And it was with me too. It's the same thing. And the only way I can describe how you're feeling going through it is it's surreal. And then suddenly the reality after the busy work hits you. Be gentle with yourself, be patient with yourself, allow yourself to grieve in the way that works for you. And believe me, that terrible grief, that kind of feel your heart's been ripped out, that will ebb and flow as time goes on, like the tides. The sorrow never leaves. There's always a little portion of your heart that is theirs. The sorrow doesn't leave. The sorrow at the loss. The grief will pass. And when they're on the other side, talk to them. Talk to them like they're there. Have a conversation with them. It helps. And know, if you have the faith, and know they are in the heavenly realms, and ask them to send you signs that they're okay, and ask them to be one of your guides. Send love up to them. They all need to be remembered and prayed for. There's great power in prayer. It's good for us, good for them. Dorothy. I had a heart attack at 38 from unresolved grief. Reference my dad dying of cancer when I just turned 20. So important people address the grief. I worked with my psychologists to deal with that. We have 2 children. They needed their mom. Best thing I ever did. Also joined a grief group later in life. Well, Dorothy, again, I'm sorry that the grief you experienced over the loss of your dad was so severe that it caused a deterioration in your health. Something to remember. Bonds of love that we form here. Parental, spousal, siblings, friends. When they pass, the separation is only temporary. The bonds of love that we form are never, ever severed. It's temporary physical separation. I believe the people that we have great relationships with, you know how you meet someone and you think, oh my gosh, I feel like I've known this person forever. It's very likely you have. You know, I do believe we're all part of spiritual pods, families, and we agree to incarnate with each other in different kinds of relationships and with different challenges set for us to work through. But the separation is only temporary. And if you can believe that and understand that they're always with us, and in many cases, they're closer to us than when they were alive, and they're more alive. I found very helpful to me, and I still do it. I have conversations. You know, if people saw me, they'd think I was nuts. I have conversations with friends that have passed over because I feel them close to me. And I know it's a loss for children in particular. And I didn't have the the experience of a family. I knew my sister only when I was an adult. And children do need parents and the love of parents. But I do think children also are very resilient. They're very resilient. And they will adjust and adapt. And very important not to internalize the grief and the sorrow, and to have a very, very negative presence and attitude, because they're also very sensitive. They pick up on that. Just let them know, people are in another place. Thank you, Judy. That's so sweet of you. Judy is saying, my presence is very calming and soothing. I appreciate that, and I hope that's what it is. I'm a calmer person because of what I believe, how I've lived my life. I've tried to live it as authentically as possible. And I've tried very, very hard to help people, to mentor them and nurture them, and to touch everyone I come into contact with in a way that helps them have a better day, and in a more extended basis, better life. And that's what I do. And that's, James encouraged me to do this transformational coaching, because it's what I've done. I did it for him, and I've done it for many, many people. Take them by the hand and walk them through the whole process of, it's a difficult thing. Not everyone has the internal wherewithal to know how to use, you've got the tools, but you don't know how to use them. Needs a little bit of help. Some of us are quick studies, others are not. But I appreciate your comment. Thank you so much. And Jenny Lynn, oh gosh, I'm going to be embarrassed soon. Peter, I love your energy. What would it take to get you on my television show to speak to my people? Just send me an email. I'll be very, very happy. Send an email on my website. I'll be very happy to talk with you about it. I'd love to do it. I like to spread the word. There's faith, hope. We need to live it, and not live in a world that is full of fear, not settling for relationships that don't work because we're afraid to be out of the relationship. It's like putting yourself in a cage. You need to release, get rid of the cage and fly. There's nothing to be afraid of in being alone. Far better. I'd rather live in a box alone than be in a relationship where there's no love, where there is majorly difference in pathways. Each of us is unique. Each of us has a unique purpose. And it's our responsibility to live that authentic life. We have to be unafraid and courageous enough to find our purpose and be our true selves. That's the pathway to happiness. On my website today, I try and on a Facebook page, I try and put something a little uplifting, thought-provoking, challenging every day. And today it was something about freedom, personal freedom, and what it means. And it's everything. That's why I don't especially like zoos. I don't like to see animals caged. It's not natural. I don't like to see people caged. And often the cages, they constructed themselves. So it's very, very important to live a happy life, a fruitful life. You have it. Everyone has the opportunity to do that. It's about letting go. I was in business for many, many, many years, primarily working with lawyers. And I met some of the most wonderful people you could wish to meet. So I think lawyers as a group get a bad rap. And I met some of the worst people, but that's true of any profession, any group. They're good, they're not so good. But I think everyone has the opportunity to turn their life around and transform it. It just takes courage. Probably the least understood in terms of its importance and value of all the virtues. It's the cornerstone of anything you want to build on. And what I found in life, it's a constant negotiation with yourself. What are you prepared to give up to get? If you're not prepared to give up anything, there isn't any getting. You're stuck. And much of what I do is helping people get unstuck. People get to a point where they feel they're hitting a brick wall and they're just not able to move. So I try and help them move. And that's what it's really all about. It's movement. If you're not moving, you atrophy spiritually and every other way. And the only reason we're here is to be on the move, growth, growth, growth. And it seems the powers that be ordained it this way. Seems the most important lessons we need to learn involve pain, and it's like fertilizer, promotes growth. Courage. So I would encourage everybody watching us today to look at their life. How authentic is your life? Do you even know the authentic you? Have you been under the, should we say, the power or the influence of another person or persons that have sucked the very life out of you, the spirit, and you don't even know who you are anymore? Just take a good look, close look at your life. Referring an earlier question, we all know intuitively when change is necessary. Change is good. Another analogy I use is that when we come into this incarnation, we're like rough diamonds. And if any of you have seen a rough diamond, it looks, meh. But every seminal experience we have, good and bad, represents a cut of the stone. And the thing that we hope for at the end of our lives is that the stone has been cut, not only just cut, but how we handle life's challenges. We hope every cut, every facet has been polished, so the beauty of that rough diamond is exposed. And when we pass over, we are brilliant. So I wish for everybody the most brilliant, flawless diamond. And I thank you very much for listening. I appreciate the opportunity of meeting with you all and for your good questions. And I wish you love, peace, harmony, and courage. So cheerio, God bless you, and I hope I'll be seeing you again.